Hi legends, it's the English Simmer here, and I have to say, it's been a lot quieter when it comes to the Sims 4 news than I thought it would be at the beginning of the year. Obviously, we got the Sim Summit towards the end of 2022, which did confirm that we were getting a new life stage for the Sims 4. It was going to be infants, and that is coming early 2023. It was also confirmed during that Sim Summit that we were getting 2 expansion packs for next year, but we haven't received like a quarterly teaser, a little image where we have to take the clues and decode them, figure out what's coming. It's been so silent, which makes me scared and also makes me feel as if I have to create my own news. So in today's video, I'm actually gonna go through my 2023 predictions for the Sims franchise. I've already talked about what I personally want in the game. I've already talked about what you lot personally want in the game, but these are more so like realistic predictions, looking at trends, looking at past surveys, looking at the information that has already been confirmed, and basically my educated guess on what we might be receiving for the Sims franchise during 2023. Starting off strong with the Sims 4 kits, said nobody ever. However, I do think that the first paid release for the Sims 4 is definitely going to be a kit. Kits have been the most frequent release for the past 2 years when it comes to this game, and I'm gonna hazard a guess that it's gonna be a Create a Sim kit. My money is on a Create a Sim kit personally because we just got 2 back-to-back build kits. So whilst Create a Sim kits aren't as frequent, I think they might kick off the new year with like a new style, like something to basically say like, hey, it's the new year, your Sims can go for a new look. I feel like we're already jumping straight into the trenches with this video, but I also predict that gameplay kits and also stuff packs are off the roster. Take me off the roster because I'm a Sims 4 stuff pack. I don't think either one of them are going to make their return. The last stuff pack that we got was 2021. It was paranormal stuff. A cracking stuff pack, honestly. A stuff pack with a theme that I really loved. A stuff pack that had a decent amount of gameplay, decent build and buy mode, very fun create a sim. Basically an all-rounded, well thought out stuff pack. Stuff packs were on the rise and all of a sudden they got axed. And I don't think we're going to see any more for the franchise, let alone even just in 2023. I do feel like kits have stepped up to take their place, which sucks, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, and I don't think any amount of kicking and screaming like an infant from myself is gonna bring them back. Gameplay kits really came out and said bust the dust, but I'm gonna be in the dust real soon because we got one of them. It was very overpowered. It was also slightly broken. I still don't really think it's been fixed, but I wouldn't know because I turn off bust the dust at any given opportunity unless I need it for like a specific challenge, because let's be real, it does feel like a challenge in the game. I just think that gameplay kits take up too much time for what they actually are. I don't think they can have any real impactful gameplay in such a small pack for the game, and I also don't think it's as easy to collaborate because as we've seen with like build and buy mode kits and also Create a Sim, they've sort of collabed with fashion designers, they've also collabed with creators in the Sims community, and whilst you're coming up with like objects, I feel like that's quite easy to do. Gameplay is a completely different story because you would need like all the new animations, and that all basically needs to be done, I feel like, in-house. I don't really think they can work with anyone else when it comes to those. However, looking at the release of High School Years, I don't think that's going to have any knock-on effect of increasing quality when it comes to the bigger packs, such as game packs and expansion packs. When it comes to the bigger packs recently, especially obviously My Wedding Stories for all the reasons, Snowy Escape and also High School Years, they have fallen flat for me on like certain features, and I don't really see them like upping that quality. I hope they do. I hope they lean into having more QA testers. I want a game to be released like actually finished, actually working within the game, and that's less of a prediction, more of a hope and a want. Speaking of what I don't think we'll get for The Sims, I really don't think we'll get any more pack refreshes. Back in 20 2021, I want to say, we got a refresh for Spa Day, but I don't really think it was like the main pack that people were wanting a refresh on. I don't think it needed like the additions, even though I really enjoyed the additions, but I also don't think it had the impact that the team were quite thinking it was gonna have. I think the core player base, the people like me, for example, the people who are on Sims Twitter, who play the game like day in, day out, it was very well received because a lot of us already owned that game pack and we were like, you know what? After so many years of this being out, it feels nice to sort of have that new content. It was quite well polished as well, like it ran well, but it seemed to fade out like really, really fast when it came to like people talking about it. I feel like that came out, everyone was really on board with it, and then it just like fell off the face of the earth and we never really spoke about it ever again. And I also don't really think it had an impact on the wider community. I don't think someone would have walked into like a game shop, seen like Spa Day refresh and been like, you know what, I'm finally gonna pick up Spa Day. I don't really think that it introduced like new players to that game pack. I don't think it really showed in sales. Whilst I don't have the information to like back that up, this is pretty much just me looking at like how the community received it. I just don't think it probably drove that many new players to pick up the pack or explore it really. So I feel like they probably looked at that and went like, is it really worth like the time and effort that we put into that? I honestly think if they had chosen a different pack to focus on for the first refresh, that could have gone a completely different route. I think if we had had a Dine Out refresh or a Realm of Magic one, or even like Get to Work, I think people really would have got on board with them. As I said, the sweet little bundles of joy, or crying, kirking, screaming, vomiting, so many verbs that we could use for these little infants. They have been confirmed. They've been confirmed for early 2023, and I want to throw a prediction out there for when I think they're going to arrive. Even though they've kind of already told us that infants are happening, and we did get a little trailer, which I did do a deep dive into, I think we'll get all of the objects that were shown in that trailer for infants, like just in the base game update. And I think that base game update will be coming either very late January or early February. I don't even know if they're gonna give like confirmation on a date for this one. Even if they do give us like a quarterly teaser, even though they've already told us that infants are coming, I'm like, maybe they're gonna do like what they did with toddlers and just drop it out of the blue, because that was such a fun time in the community. So I think they might try and capture the essence of that release again. And I also think it might be around that time because I think they could potentially tie in to one of the new expansion packs that we're getting in the year, but I'll get into that a little bit later on. I, however, don't think that infants are gonna get their own like paid for kit. I actually asked my Twitter followers, what do you think the first drop is gonna be, and when do you think infants are gonna be dropping? Where we dropping, boys? And a lot of people seem to either want or were thinking that they were gonna bring a kit out relating to infants. What is going on with my voice? I am a frog ribbit. Excuse me, forget infants, I have to toddle a drink. And the reason I don't think they're gonna get their own individual kit is because of the reasoning that I stated before. I don't think we have gameplay kits anymore. I would find it weird if they added a build and buy mode kit specifically for infants, because it would just basically be like decorational objects. I don't really think they give us any new gameplay items like a little xylophone or like a little shape building thing. And then I also would find it slightly weird if they introduced infants and then straight away were like, oh, here's a creator sim kit for them. I think they will be like toddlers. I think they will have their own creator sim assets, but it just feels a little bit weird. However, I do actually think that we will get some form of an age-based pack this year in 2023. And the reason I say this is during the Sim Summit, we already got a look at some of the concept art. They said that the concept art related to the 2 expansion packs that we were getting in 2023. However, we did actually see one of the assets in the Clutter kit that released in 2022. So I don't really know where that like line is drawn. We saw someone wearing some lingerie. We also saw some dentures in like a little glass of water, which definitely feels like more elder based. We also saw some concept art of like worlds for expansion packs. And there was one specifically with a sim who had a kid on a bicycle riding in front of them. We know that kids don't actually have access to bikes in The Sims 4. That is a teen and above feature. And they also had had a little baby on their back in like a baby carrier, that suggested to me that we were going to get a Generations-esque expansion during 2023. Either I think it's going to be like Generations-esque, or I think it's going to be focused on those younger life stages. If it is focused on those younger life stages, the ones that we've seen in the concept art of the world, I think that potentially we could get an Elders game pack specifically only for Elders, and that's where the dentures come into play. Or the dentures could just be a weird part of a like build and buy kit. I really hope that that isn't the case. I think that Elders deserve some love, attention, affection, and also like gameplay. I don't know, let me know your thoughts on that one. I feel like that's the most important topic. I feel like that's the topic on everyone's lips in the community right now. Speaking of those two expansion packs, when do I personally think they're gonna drop? So if we look at like the past releases for The Sims 4, we were getting into a rhythm really like before COVID of an expansion dropping within the summer and then also an expansion dropping within the winter. I feel like that's the most played out release schedule that The Sims 4 has come to. However, even before that, I feel like we were getting one like every spring and every autumn. So I think it's going to be one or the other. I think we'll probably get one spring and autumn, or we'll get one summer and winter. However, I do feel like if my previous prediction is correct of it being a Generations expansion, then it might be spring autumn, because then that would be closer to the infant release. That's a new life stage. It makes sense for going through like generations and telling their story. Even during the Sim Summit, we had a lot of like thanks for growing up with us. In my head, there's just a lot of like hints, even though the Sims team don't do hints, towards that generational growth. And we've seen it in past surveys that I've talked about before. Growing pains, like emotions, relationships with your friends and family, all that kind of stuff still says to me generations. Oh, and also Simguru Ninja, the sneaky little troll that he is, actually uploaded a photo of himself holding a scythe. And whilst people are reading into that maybe it potentially means that we're getting a Grim Reaper career, which was also in a survey back in 2020. Elderly, death, funerals, question mark? But what do I think the second pack may be? This is where my predictions get a little bit harder, because I knew I didn't want to focus too much on what I personally wanted and sort of looked at like the maybe hints or the things that they've really seemed to focus on recently, things they've talked about in past surveys, because Snowy Escape definitely seemed like it was driven by a survey, as did High School Years, which by the way, I really want some more surveys in 2023, but enough about what I want. I genuinely think we could get a music-based expansion pack, which I know, unpopular opinion, I feel like a lot of people are like, well, we already have that in like Get Famous, which we do a little bit, and then we also have it a little bit in Get Together with like DJs. We also already have a singer or like musician career, but that's a base game career. It's not that interesting. I would personally really love to see a music-based expansion pack or game pack, specifically when it comes to bands and like touring between the Sims 4 worlds. I've actually done a whole video on what I would want from a bands game pack, which I will either link down below or like link up here. It'll be somewhere. But why I think it's going to be music based is I feel like a lot of the PR, a lot of advertisement, we even saw it in the Sim Summit with like Anita and Next Kids. We've had a lot of dance routines. We've had a lot of music based promotional content. And I think that 2023 might be the moment where they mix those two things together and actually have it come in the game. We've even seen it on their Twitter account with like Bella's Spotify like Wrapped, and I definitely do think that they could expand on music within the game, more instruments, bands, touring, like an actual singer career. I feel like it's one of those themes that's been dotted around in other packs, but we don't have anything that really ties it together. And I do think that 2023, with the world opening back up, people going to concerts more frequently, could be the year of a musical based expansion. Or my second prediction is another destination sort of expansion pack. I feel like we haven't really seen one since Snowy Escape. We obviously got Cottage Living and High School Years the last 2 years. And also in those past surveys, they've talked about different worlds that you would like to see. So Scottish Highlands, Swiss Mountain Town, Chinese countryside, South African city, Italian vineyards, Greek islands. There was a whole load of places that could definitely fit into that like destination theming. And then we have also seen them talking about designing and running a resort, vacationing at a resort, owning a second home, going on an outing, or defining your Sims lifestyle, which we saw a bit of a crossover with that when it came to Snowy Escape. Obviously, they introduced like rental lots for any worlds, but we haven't traditionally seen like hotels, Airbnbs, owning a second home. And I just think that the likelihood of that comes from not only the surveys, but the fact that we haven't really had a destination-based expansion for like 2 years now. Kind of one of those expansions that just has an aspiration of like, hey, go out and explore this area. So I think either of those predictions have enough evidence to back them up. I don't know if they would choose to go like one way or another. I honestly don't know what would be more popular. You should let me know down in the comments between those two predictions. So you got a music-based band expansion pack or another destination world, but with kind of the element of like running and owning your hotel. Which one would you prefer? Or my predictions could be wildly off track and we might not be getting any, or we might not be getting a Generations at all, and those might be the two expansion packs. Who knows what the Sims are gonna do? And for my final prediction, when it comes to SDX drops, I definitely think that they are gonna collaborate with creators more from the community. I think that also goes for kits as well. Obviously, we saw a fair few collaborations throughout 2022. I think they're just gonna continue to expand that, which leads me on to more cultural representation when it comes to both kits and also SDX drops. I've already talked about Hufflepuff and the requests for Jewish representation in the game, which I would really, really love to see. I've also spoken about people wanting African-inspired worlds within the games, and I hope that that is a prediction that is definitely gonna come true this year. But that pretty much wraps it up. Those are all of my predictions for 2023. I would love to hear what you lot think of all of these predictions. And if these predictions do turn out to be true, I want to know how you would feel about them if they were released. For your own predictions. Maybe you think, Molly, what the heck are you talking about? Those definitely aren't my predictions. Leave all of that down in the comments below. You know I absolutely bloody love to hear it. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you aren't already. Who knows? Maybe 2023 is the year I get to 300,000. I would really appreciate it. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.